Let me explain to you why I'm going to be charging you extra. Well, hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I'm an associate broker, residential sales manager at ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 216. So, I'm trying to work on my dictation and everything when I make pronouncements like that. So, how you guys all doing? So, I am living the real estate dream over here. As you can tell, I actually had enough time to get my hair cut. Yes, it is short, but this is the way I like it. And tends to freak a lot of people out. Why do you get it cut so short? So I only have to get it cut every 2 months, Jeez. But other than that, we are rock and rolling over here. Couple things on the national news, couple things on the state news level, and then my own ranting and raving and rending of clothes about the injustices of the world. But where do we start? National news. NAR's come out with another kind of trying to figure out that clear cooperation. They're still trying to get out from under the Department of Justice's thumb while still maintaining business the way they are. So they have the latest and greatest, how about we try it this way, right? Which is exactly the way they're doing it before, but they've changed the names of everything so it sounds different. That's really important, right? It's the sounding different, not the actually being different. So we'll see how this one works out. Biggest issue that they're having is the clear cooperation is if I have a listing, I want maximum exposure for it. So I put it on the MLS so other agents can see it with their buyers, and then their buyers can make an offer on my listing. What's happening is big brokerages who in some cases dominate the county, and we're talking like Michigan, Minnesota, maybe Texas. Texas has got like 5,000 different counties, and they're all about like a grid square big. You might have one brokerage that owns the entire thing, and a couple little startups and that kind of stuff. So they can literally just keep all their listings in-house. It's called a pocket listing. And, they get the majority of the market, so they can actually force out the little guys. So clear cooperation is that if you're going to use the MLS, you've got to put it out there so everybody can see it. And they're really trying to figure out how to get around that. This latest one's got a cool little hiccup on it, where I get the listing. I'm going to put it on the MLS, but instead of putting on there as active or coming soon, it's going to be like limited marketing. I can't remember exactly what the term is. But everybody gets to see it. But you know who doesn't get to see it? Zillow and the IDX feeds and all those other companies. So it's a way to actually list your property so real estate agents can see it, but Zillow can't. I am conflicted. I am very, very, very conflicted. Okay, so and when I'm conflicted, I reserve my opinion. We're just going to watch to see how this one plays out. All right. Anybody been on any good signal conversations lately? The here in the state, okay, we're definitely seeing the slowing market. We're seeing. Hold on. I am also juggling wounded veterans on the side too, as my side hobby. Here in the state, we are starting to see, those Case-Shiller report numbers came out again, and of course they're always 3 months in arrears and then 3 months in arrears of that. So this is actually covering like October to December, right? Showing that we were up over for the entire year of 2024. Price per square foot, housing prices, that kind of stuff. But last week we talked about how the listings are starting to come down. Me and one of my agents just went over a property down in Santan, and he's getting a listing. He's trying to price it out, and it's like, how do you price it underneath the new builds? All right, because I'm not accusing the builders of like dumping their listings or anything out there, but wow, some of those houses are cheap. I mean, yay. First time homebuyer, I can't find a house. Get to Santan, all right? Especially if you work from home. I mean, no brainer, right? So, and he's got this one comp. It sold for like $322, right? $322,000 cash, and it got bought by some company out of Atlanta that's going to be renting that out. All right. And that's how the world gets played right now. And isn't BlackRock out of Atlanta? Just wondering. So, yeah, so what we're seeing, okay, let's go to the numbers because I want to show you this very important, very specific number. Okay. I want you to look down at the bottom to where you see 99.6. All right. We are almost, but not quite, at the 2,500 mark or 25,000 mark where we're saying that is how many houses we should have on the MLS at any given time if Phoenix, Arizona was ever normal. All right. Meaning average, based on our population and how often people move back and forth, the churn, we should be at about 25,000. And we are currently at 24,812. Right? That's up 209 from last week. And here we go. And here are the numbers for March 26, 2025. As we said, the actives this week are 24,812, up 209 from the week before. Our new listings are 2,604, up 10. Contracts are 2,710, up 215, and our closings were 1,626. Coming soon to an MLS near you is 849 new listings. So, that being said, as you can see, we're pretty much hitting that. When you start seeing this thing go over, it's not a panic point. Okay, remember, we just look at this number of supply, 99.6, then we got to talk about demand, 80.6, where we should have 5 buyers, we have 4. All right, that is giving us a number of 80.9. Now, like I said, but this is coming up a little bit. More and more buyers are coming into the market. They're just not coming into the market as fast as the inventory is coming into the market. Interest rates have been starting to drop. We're seeing really good things on that side. Other thing is, it literally depends on what channel you listen to. All right. People are saying they're doom and gloom, recession, recession, recession. I was saying recession. We had all the numbers going for a recession. And then the durable good orders came in this week, and they're showing anything but a recession. All right. Oil prices, direct effect on energy costs. Okay, they're starting to trend up, but that seems mostly because of issues that Venezuela is having. But the Texas oil patch is coming online now that they don't have the previous administration's policies holding them back. All right. Although we did have a big draw on oil and gasoline and other things. This is not an economics channel, so I'm not going to be covering anything more on that. But we might not have the recession everybody's talking about. And if we can get spending under control, then you're going to see even the interest rates come down even more. So just remember, just because the administration goes through and says, I'm not going to spend all this money on these stupid stuff, right, does not mean Congress won't find a way to spend money on stupid stuff. All right. So the eyes start looking towards Congress, seeing what they're going to do and what the two parties are going to allow each other to do on this, right? But get spending under control. It even look like we're trying to get spending under control. The markets will reward that by lowering the interest rates. All right. And that will be your builder surge. So like anything else, it's outside of my hands. It's beyond my control. Bonus points to anybody who can tell me what that movie was. All right. Then let's look at our regional areas. Okay. In Chandler, everybody's dropping except for Avondale, Glendale, Buckeye, and Maricopa. That's an interesting signal down here, watching Buckeye and Maricopa starting to come back up. Remember, people who I've been saying, first-time homebuyers, just like I was talking about Santan, all right, they're starting, as the interest rates come down, first-time homebuyers suddenly realize we can get into something. They're raised in such a way where they understand home ownership is important, all right, and they will go wherever the house is, okay? And so when we see Maricopa coming up 8% month over month. All right. See Buckeye. Okay, this is always fun when it's like 50.1. They used to be 50.0, giving them a change percentage-wise of 0, but a little green arrow going up. Queen Creek is still being Queen Creek. All right. And so on and so forth. But there's Glendale up 6%. Trying to figure out what's going on in Glendale right now. And Avondale, all right, up 11. Everybody else is falling. Worst loser on this thing is actually Tempe. Tempe's got to be Tempe every time. So All right, what else do we got going on? Your buyers markets right now are definitely going to be Maricopa, Buckeye, Queen Creek, Surprise, and Goodyear, and not Peoria. Peoria is actually technically in balance. So Peoria and Mesa and Cave Creek are your balanced markets, while Glendale, Avondale, Phoenix, Tempe, Fountain Hills, Gilbert, Paradise Valley, rich people don't care, Scottsdale, and Chandler are all still technically your sellers markets. All right, but remember, it's where the houses are and how many of them are transacting. All right. So, in fact, it'd be really interesting to just sit there if at the side of this thing I could have how many houses are actually in where the midpoint is. Because there's going to be a midpoint out there somewhere saying, you know, Maricopa doesn't have as many people in there as like Chandler does, but Chandler's got more than Scottsdale. All right. Phoenix, definitely more than everybody else. All right. But Mesa, Peoria, you know, just weight it by population. That would be fun to do if I was a mathematician, which I am not. So, what is the purpose of the title of this episode? And this is one of those rare ones where I come up with the title first and then I have the episode, all right, of Solar Hell. This morning, we are having an active conversation about how do we charge our clients more when they make us deal with solar companies. All right. I'm no longer kidding about this. I'm no longer being flippant, all right? Solar panels are a pox on society, all right? And solar companies are even worse, all right? Tell me whatever you want about, oh, we're saving the environment, oh, da-da-da-da-da. I don't care, all right? When it comes down to you put those things on a house, I want to see a direct cost hit. You have a lovely $500,000 house. Ooh, solar panels, $475. All right, because I want people to start treating them like the pestilence they are. All right, and you can tell me all the great, wonderful things. Oh, I'm saving so much money. I really don't think your average consumer here in Arizona is saving that much money. I don't think they're saving any money. All right, over the lifetime costs. And I know we're Americans. We don't think in lifetime costs. We think about right now. It didn't cost me anything. I just did this with my plastic. All right. But when you look at the lifetime costs and the lifetime drama of solar panels, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. Got a transaction going on. All right. Seller has solar panels on it. Not their choice. They bought the house with solar panels on it, which meant they had to get it transferred into their name. Now they're trying to get it transferred into the buyer's name. All right. But the panels are owned but borrowed against. There's something called a UCC lien, okay? And what that is you can put a lien on a property based on something physical on the property. You usually see this over on the business side. If there is like a huge foundry with a lot of equipment that goes with the foundry, it cannot be readily removed from the factory. All right. It's like, no, we really can't get rid of that smelter. It's got to stay with the property. Well, you can still lean against a smelter. You can still lean against the lathes, you know, all the other stuff in there. The forklifts, or not the forklifts, but the hydraulic lifts. All right. You can put a lien against those things. All right. And it's called a UCC lien. So you got a UCC lien on solar panels, right? That's how the lender who has, you know, given you the money to buy your solar panels to put on your roof, now they're covered by that. Sound good so far? Now this is not a lease. This is you know, a lien. So the buyer coming in not only has to borrow money to buy the house, now they also have to take over the lien and take over, you know, payments on that. So sound good so far? Where it becomes a problem is the solar panel companies need to do paperwork on their side. All right, because they got to basically find the buyer. Hi, buyer. I hear you want to take over this loan. We need to know who you are. And then they're going to send paperwork at the buyer, and the buyer needs to fill it out, and they need to basically apply for and qualify for the new loan that they're taking over. It's an assumption. No problem. All right. These loan companies, okay, do not necessarily staff the departments that handle these assumptions very well. All right, because it's a loss leader. They have to do it contractually because that was one of the things in the contract that they got the homeowner to sign. I know homeowner is going to, you know, put something on their house for 20 years and says, oh, by the way, you can't sell the house. All right. So they come up with this. Oh no, we'll just do it. We guarantee you, we will loan this thing to anybody out there can assume this loan. All right. Some cases they say, oh, this will not stop the sale of your house. And when you go to sell your house, it's like, yeah, we're not going to stop you. You just got to pay us off. You have a path. We're not stopping you. You just need to pay us off. Where's our money, bitch? All right. But in this particular case, it's like, hey, so the reason why solar hell and why I said it like this is because inevitably what happens is you have a buyer who needs to take action. You have a seller who needs it because they have to start the process. And this is not something your agent can do for you. You, the individual, the consumer, has to do this. Right? The seller has to start the process. They then have to send information over to the buyer. The buyer then needs to fill out a form and send it back to the seller, and the seller needs to run it up to the company. All right. Now, in reality, that means we're bouncing off real estate agents. Okay. So the seller is going to send that information to his agent, who's going to send it over to the buyer's agent, who's going to send it over to the buyer. If something does not happen in that chain, you get nothing but a bunch of people talking back and forth, especially once the buyer's done what they needed, sellers did what they needed to do, buyer did what they needed to do, agents in between just basically shuffled paperwork back and forth, right? And then it eventually goes up to the solar panel company, and where it comes to a complete freaking stop. Why does it come to a stop? Because Gladys don't care. Now, you, the consumer, all right, this is the biggest transaction of your life. All right, this is the cornerstone of your future. You are starting a new chapter in your life. All right. This is the house you're going to raise your kids in. This is the house you're going to watch your girls go off to prom in. This is the house that's going to make everything perfect for you. Or if you're the seller, this is where you get the money to experience your dream. For Gladys, it's Wednesday. And there's cookies in the break room. Guess what Gladys is doing? She's going to go eat the cookies in the break room. Because Gladys doesn't care about you. They really don't. She's got a TPS report to file. All right. And here's the other thing. Right? It's Wednesday. Okay. I'm recording this on Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Okay. For you, this is the biggest transaction of your life. For Gladys, it's Wednesday, March the 26th. You're not closing until the 9th of April. You're April Gladys's problem. You're not today's Gladys's problem. And so when you sit there and you go, where's my, why aren't they doing anything? Why aren't they doing anything? Well, they're not doing anything because you're not this month's problem. We're coming up to the end of the month, right? She's trying to get everything out there that's going to be closing, this month. All right. She's trying to get those docs out by Friday. She's worried about Friday docs. She's not worried about 2 weeks from now docs. All right. But this is a stressor for everybody. Okay. Which means it's a stressor for me, your real estate agent. All right. So if it's a stressor for me, somebody's got to start paying. Somebody's got to start paying for this. All right. So that's why we're thinking it's like, oh yeah, we're going to, buyer broker agreement for this with a caveat. If you have solar panels involved in that property, we're tacking on an extra charge. All right. Cause that's a lot more work for us and a lot more stress. And you were literally making your life more dramatic. Okay. You want solar panels? Buy a house, then put them on. All right. Don't go out there trying to find a house with solar panels. Anyways. So just a thought, just a rant. That's what I do. So, and I'm not saying that people aren't going to benefit from solar panels and whatnot. There's a lot of things you got to look at on this. A lot of people don't understand how solar panels work. They think they're magic, like little magic fairy dust comes in and makes your house suddenly green and efficient. And then they start looking at the numbers and they don't know what they're looking at. And they start going, wait a minute, why are they still writing a check to APS or SRP? Why are they still making an electricity bill? Well, because power costs and they're not magic, right? I can go right down the list. You don't have enough panels. Your panels are very, very poorly situated because your house was not designed to have solar panels on, right? You do not have a good southern facing block of, roof to put solar panels on, right? These are big things. Not enough panels, bad placement. Right. You signed a really, really bad contract where you're not getting the energy out of it that you thought you were getting. Right. They only guaranteed you 8,000 kilowatt hours and stuff like that. And your house is using 12. You're still writing a check. All right. You also can't sit there and look at the previous owner's electricity bill because you don't know what they did. Okay. That's one single person doing absolutely nothing, puttering around the life, and their favorite thing to do is watch Little House on the Prairie. All right. They're not going to have the same kind of power usage as a family of 5 where everybody's got their own computer and their own game system, and they like to keep the temperature at 72. All right. So you really can't track that thing. So you really do need to figure out panels, where are they at? Are they good? And the other thing is, occasionally the panels just reset. And what I mean by reset is the little calculator thing quits calculating how much energy you get, all right, to get your bonus from, so it misreports it to APS, so they don't credit you back what you're supposed to be getting, and nobody notices this. So, anyways, so solar panels, way outside my scope. I got nothing but hatred and rants for them. Yes, I'll probably have them on one of my houses one of these days, but not the one I'm living in, because despite what the last person who tried to sell me solar panels thought, I'm not cutting down my tree to save the environment. I'm not cutting down my tree that's been there for longer than I've held the house. It's probably been there since like the 70s. It might actually be older than I am. I'm not going to cut it down just so you can make a sale solar queen. And it's not going to happen. All right. So they serve a purpose. They're not magic. They're not going to do what you're going to. And for the love of God, if you're a 70-year-old guy getting ready to sell your house in 6 months and you call them up and say, why am my solar bill all screwed up? Do not decide you're going to double the amount of solar panels and buy a Tesla battery pack. Okay. That's another reason why I don't like solar panel companies. They're scammers. All right. So how do you deal with this? You really want to buy green energy, both SRP and APS has the ability that you can pay them extra, and they'll make sure that you get the green kilowatts and not the not green kilowatts. All right. Don't ask me how they do that. That goes against the laws of physics in my world, but hey, nobody else paid attention in high school science classes except apparently me. So, but I do pay attention to kids and dogs and pets around water. I do pay attention to things that are flooded. Right. I do pay attention to my friends, even when you think I'm not listening to you. I am listening to you, judging you. All right. But I am listening. It's part of working my circles. Right. And I want you guys to have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys all later. Right.